what happened is I had this really radical spiritual awakening in 1989, which I won't go into detail about because I've covered it, a few times and written about it. So, I was gifted with the most incredible dream darshans with, and darshan is to have the sight of, a master or an enlightened being, a great yogi. And I received teachings from him or her, and just had really incredible experiences from masters and gurus and saints from diverse paths and traditions. And that really lasted from 1989. Well, it continues actually, but between 1989 and 2001, those experiences were very consistent. And they would happen, almost nightly. Were very powerful, and they would take days to sort of process. And I knew absolutely nothing about the shadow. All I knew was light and expansion and changes in consciousness and transformation and these amazing beings. So it was very sort of blissful, and just wonderful. I knew enough because I was studying yoga to explore what I was feeling. So, for example, and in the yogic kind of terminology, it's called Atma Vichara, which means self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. So I knew enough to know that, for example, if I woke up one day and felt really crabby and irritable, it was important for me to look at what was sitting underneath the irritation. Or if I felt a bit depressed or down, okay, what is this telling me? So I knew enough to look underneath a little, and I'd do my journaling and, and I'd figure it out and I'd go my way and everything would be good. So then, fast forward to 2001, which is when my husband and I packed up everything. We closed down our lives, essentially, quit our jobs, and we moved to India. We went to live in an ashram, and I was just absolutely thrilled and delighted, and I felt incredibly grateful about having this opportunity. And I hadn't gone with any expectations. I was really trying to be very open about what might happen and what I might be able to learn from that experience. But I think it was the second night I was there, I had a lucid dream. And in the lucid dream, one of the masters I worked with appeared. And she said, the doorway to the astral realms is closed. And there was a door behind her with great big planks of wood across it.
Oh, wow.
And she was wearing a floppy hat and dark shades, and she was holding a pickaxe. And she said, it's time to go into the basement. It's time to chip away at the walls. But she said, don't worry, it's like sandstone. It falls away really easily. But this feeling of dread just came up in me. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it was going to be really intense. So from that moment on, I'd wake up in this beautiful environment in India. I was in ecstasy being in this place. Yet, anger would come up, depression, despair, all these, and I don't mean just like little waves of it. I mean like a tsunami, to the point where some days I could hardly get out of bed. It was just so incredibly powerful and so incredibly dark. And it went on for day after day after day after day. And my little technique of trying to look just below the surface really didn't do anything, because I couldn't find the source of where that anger and frustration and irritation and despair was coming from. So I knew that somehow it really linked to being in the atmospheres of this sacred place, but I didn't know what to do with it, because I'd never undertaken any sort of psychotherapy. I'd never done counseling. I didn't understand the psyche. It was all new to me. So I just said, okay. And I didn't feel comfortable talking to anybody else about it because I couldn't even put it into words. And I knew it was my work. I had to do it. So I said,